as leaders, we need to understand that not every decision is going to be perfect, 100% accurate, or work out the way we want it to. Remember this, we cannot predict the future. Hi guys, it's JT here and welcome to the JT Leadership Podcast, brought to you by PMG, a podcast where I take everyday leadership challenges, simplify them and provide you with the tools all for one outcome, and that's to create a positive impact on your life. In today's episode, I will be discussing two areas that aspiring leaders struggle with in the world today. That is how to develop influence over other people. And these two areas are so important. I found that throughout my career and my life of leading people, that with these two areas, you can go from not having any influence to having influence over people very, very quickly, just by displaying these two areas alone. So without further ado, let's get into episode 8 of the JT Leadership Podcast, the power of becoming the compass and confidence. And in this episode, I will be tackling the following 5 questions. Question 1, what does it mean to be the compass? Question 2, how to become the compass? Question 3, and this is probably one of the most important ones, how to make great decisions. Question 4, why confidence trumps ego? And question 5, how to get rid of your ego and become confident. I explain in my book, Managers Are Not Leaders, that the world has shifted from an era of tangible skills and assets to intangible skills and assets. This means that the people that work for us, our teams, ourselves, what we do in our lives is all based around a person's individual skills and abilities. And with our teams, they prefer to be left alone. They prefer to be given their purpose and then left to figure it out on their own devices. Now, this is quite prevalent in millennials today. I'm not going to go into the topic of millennials in this podcast, but I will later on in the next couple seasons. And what our teams, like millennials, need is they need direction. They want their purpose, they have their purpose, they want to be left to their own devices, but they need someone to give them clear and strong direction. So that's when they look to their leaders. They need someone to be decisive, someone to come out and make the decision. So I want to tell you a story about someone, and everyone is known worldwide. He's known to everyone in this world. The 44th President of the United States, Barack Obama. Mark Bowden, in his book, The Finish, he talks about when Obama had to make the 50-50 decision to send SEAL Team 6 in to assassinate and kill Osama bin Laden. Now, this was not an easy decision. Mark Bowden writes in his book that the accuracy range of the information was from 10 to 90%, and that his team was so unsure, this is Obama's counsel, they were so unsure of this decision that even his vice president, Joe Biden, said to him, if you get this wrong, this could cost you your presidency. That's how important this decision was. The information was so bad that Obama actually said to his team, guys, this is a 50-50 decision. Now, what happens in that situation? The storms are raging, there's so much clouded information around you, and you're the leader. People look towards you as the leader to make the decision, make that call. You need to step up. You need to be decisive. You need to become the compass. So when the storms are raging, when there's no clear direction, it's very foggy, you need to become the compass as the leader. In the midst of confusion, lack of information, intense pressure, Obama had to make the call. He provided clear and concise direction. This provided guidance and instruction. He became the calm within the storm. He became the compass. And that's why this is so important. Because when leaders do not exhibit this behavior, when leaders do not become the compass, they're not decisive, it leads to a lack of direction, reduced motivation. It leads to teams not knowing, having clear direction on what they should be doing. Essentially, lower results, reduced levels of success, reduced happiness, reduced motivation. This can have a big impact on a team, but not just in a team, also in our lives. If we cannot take control of our lives, if we cannot be decisive in our own lives, the same problems occur. How many of you out there have sat at home not knowing the right direction to go in, have struggled with decision making, and then worried about what would happen if you didn't make that decision? Well, if you did make that decision, you worry about the consequences. And then you start to think in your mind, you start to catastrophize. These create bigger problems with us and can lead to things like stress and anxiety, which then lead to health problems. This is why being decisive and becoming the compass is so important. Which brings me on to how to become the compass. And this is mainly driven by decision making. In my experience, there are generally two types of decision making: quick and decisive, and change driving. Quick and decisive decisions are ones that are made every single day. These decisions are usually lacking informed information, they're lacking detailed information. They are quick and decisive because they're made by us with a combination of experience, judgment, and preconceptions. As a leader, we need to be able to make these decisions to provide people with guidance, clarity, and direction. A simple example of this is looking both ways before crossing a street. Now, we've been told that we need to do that because if we don't, we're going to get hit by a car. So this again, it's a quick decision that we make every single day. The second type of decision is change driving. These usually are very well thought out decisions. They're highly informed and they take a long time to gather the information. So the decision can range between taking 1 or 2 hours or a few months. This could be, for example, deciding to change where you live, deciding to up and move yourself to a different country, to change your environment and change your life. Or it could be to take your business in a different direction. These decisions generally change a direction of someone's life, business, career, and these decisions usually occur a lot less than quick and decisive decision making. Quick and decisive decision making, these are decisions that happen every single day. So, for example, in my experience, I'd be working and people come and ask me 15 to 20 questions a day. So, quick and decisive, I need to make a decision on what information I give that person. That's based on my experience and my judgments. However, if someone comes to me with a really big question, for example, there's a serious issue here with a supplier and we need to do something to get this resolved. Okay, I need a bit more information. I need to explore that a bit more. This will give me enough information to then decide, okay, what am I going to do to take this in a different direction? We might need to change the direction of our plan. Okay, so now imagine you're a great decision maker. You know all the information, you have all the experience, you have the right judgments, you make the right call. But still, people do not seem to follow your decisions. Now this comes down to your decision presence. So for example, imagine someone comes to you and makes it and says, I need you to make this decision. What are you going to do in that situation? Here's a few things that you don't do. Scream, panic, shut down and freeze, run away, and not make a decision. Now you might think some of those are quite funny, but I've actually seen those happen. I've seen people completely freeze, break down, panic, leave meeting rooms because they cannot make a decision. They may be very well experienced people, but they cannot make a decision. So their level of influence doesn't grow. If anything, it reduces because people cannot trust in that person. There's a saying which some people probably heard. In a decision situation, if you really don't know what to do, just do something, anything. Now this could be delaying the decision, but at least you do something. Do not do nothing. As leaders, we need to understand that not every decision is going to be perfect, 100% accurate, or work out the way we want it to. Remember this, we cannot predict the future. As a leader, you cannot predict the future. You have to make a decision to the best of your ability. So now what I'm going to talk to you about is how exactly can we make great decisions to the best of our ability. I want you guys to write this down. If you've got a pen, you've got your phone, you've got your notes out, take note of this. This has massively helped me in my career, my life, and when I've shared these tools with other people, drastically changed their ability to become better decision makers. There are 4 areas which we must use when deciding. 1, the information available. 2, experience. 3, probability. And 4, our judgment. I want to just take you back to Barack Obama and the 50-50 decision. This was one of the most important decisions of the decade. You could say that was that important. So let's review how Obama made his decision. So number 1, the information available. Obama reviewed the information first and realized that there was a lack of it. The accuracy was really, really poor. Number 2, experience. He looked at his own experience, but then also listened to his team's experience. So he led on the support of others. If you listen to my previous podcast, you'd realize how important the power of listening is and the support of our teams. Number 3, probability. So this is the most important bit. This is where I talked about you cannot predict the future. This is probably one of the key areas of making a decision. You have to assess the probability of your decision being successful. Number 3, he reviewed the probability of success for various options. So Mark Bowden writes in his book that Obama reviewed the different few options and then assessed with his team how successful they were likely to be. That is what probability is. I repeat, you cannot predict the future. Number 4, he decided on his judgment. He had to make a judgment call. The decision was that big, but lacking that much information, that he had to decide to the best of his ability. If you're working in any career in your life and you make a decision based off of these 4 areas, so the information available, your experience, your probability, your judgment, no one will ever question you for not making the right decision. I've been in a scenario where I made a decision and it didn't turn out well. In actual fact, what happened afterwards was it failed. The task failed and things went pretty sideways. So I was questioning, why did you make that decision? So I took them through the steps. I said, look, based on the information that we have, based on the experience I learned on other people, I'm not an expert in that area. I then had to use my judgment, and based on probability, I thought it would work, but it didn't. People will accept that. People will acknowledge that you've gone through a series of steps, and this works in your life too. So it's important to realize that, like I said, you cannot predict the future. But if you decide based on these 4 areas, you will give yourself the best fighting chance for success. Trish Blackwell, Virginia-based confidence coach and blogger, writes that decisiveness builds confidence. When we have confidence in ourselves, it radiates from us. Other people believe in us because they see that confidence. It leads to other people being more confident. But what we need to not get confused is confidence and ego. To be clear, confidence and ego are not the same thing. Being egotistical is to tailor every situation to your own self-interest, whereas having confidence is to feel or believe in yourself and others. There is a difference. I want to make this very clear. I believe that there is no place for ego in leadership. I do not believe it should have any place in management or any area. I've been in situations before where I felt my ego coming forward, but I'm generally not a very egotistical person, and I dislike it. Whenever I feel like I've displayed some ego, I really look at myself afterwards and I go, I should not have done that. And I've worked with countless number of managers and people claiming to be leaders who constantly display ego, and their egotistical behaviors do not contribute to a successful environment. In actual fact, what they do is they reduce their likability factor. It destroys people's trust in you, and it destroys relationship. Think about it. I want you to imagine a relationship. Now, this could be with girlfriend, boyfriend, a partner, your family members, your friends. Now, imagine a relationship which was all one-sided, where it was all about them. You would meet up for dinner, and all they would talk about is their problems. They would never really focus on you. That is self-interest. That is ego. Over time, let's say that was 5 years ago. Are you still friends with that person? Are you still dating that person? Most likely the answer is no. And if you are, you may want to consider your relationship. What are they bringing to the relationship for you? And this is a side tangent, but an egotistical person doesn't bring anything to the relationship for you, both of you. They only bring it for themselves. And that is a destructive relationship. Confidence, on the other hand, makes you likable, authentic, and trustworthy. Imagine a relationship where both of you trusted yourselves enough to only want to focus on the other person. Everything you do in your relationship is to benefit each other. That is confidence. And what benefits do these bring? Confidence makes you and the people around you happier. You're more likable. You're more trustworthy. You can build stronger connections and relationships. And it leads to high levels of motivation and success. That is why confidence trumps ego. Okay guys, so we've covered a lot there, but I wanted to quickly recap as I usually do. So question 1, what does it mean to be the compass? So we've answered that. How to become the compass? So we've looked at that in terms of being a great decision maker and having great decision presence. And then 3, the key area of how to make this great decision. So these are the 4 areas: information available, experience, probability, and judgment. And we've just looked at why confidence trumps ego? We've answered that. So now what I want to do is I want to get on to how, if you have ego, don't get me wrong, this is not your fault. We've been brought up in a society where we've been told that we need to focus on I, when really successful people focus on others. They focus on them. So here's the tool. As always, with every one of my podcasts, I'm going to give you the tools which you can use to apply into your real life. These are tools that actually work in real life. As a leader, as you develop and go along your leadership journey, what you will do is you will develop more and more influence. This influence essentially is power. Now, you can use your power for bad or good. And I like to think, and I believe this, that as a leader, we should be using our influence for good. Not to manipulate people, but to help others, support others, and be a force for good in this world. And as we develop more and more power, there are two things that we can do with this. And I learned this from watching videos from Bob Davids, a successful entrepreneur and businessman. There are two areas. One, we can keep the power. Or two, we can give the power back. Keeping the power is a demonstration of ego, as well as it shows insecurities. I remember working with a manager who, despite the successes of the team, he constantly reported to the board higher up that it was his success, his success, his success. It was I. People aren't stupid. The board saw right through this. They could see through his bullshit. It goes to say that he wasn't around for much longer. When you give the power back, people provide you with more support. This provides you more power. It takes confidence, not ego, to be able to give the power back. If you are confident in yourself, you trust yourself as a leader, you can give that power back to other people. This creates trust, and with trust, you develop more influence. That is the power of confidence, and that is why confidence trumps ego. Okay guys, wow, we've covered a lot there again today. So as usual, we've covered some amazing key points, and I've given you a fantastic tool that you can use to apply in your real life. So as always, I want to summarize. Being decisive in tough, muddy, cloudy situations will consistently make you the compass. And becoming a better decision maker and using those 4 areas. So the information available, your experience, your probability, judgment, will make you a better decision maker and will increase your ability to become the compass, become a stronger leader, and develop more influence. And I reiterate, remember, you cannot predict the future. You can only make a decision on the best of your ability. And remember that ego has no place in leadership. And to be more confident as a leader, better decision maker, is being more confident. When you're confident, you give the power back to people, to your team, your partners, your relationships, your friends. And this increases trust. And remember, if you listen to my previous episodes, you realize that trust equals connection, and connection equals greater influence. That is the power of confidence, and that is why confidence trumps ego. I hope that these tools have brought you fantastic value. And like I said, these tools work in real life. If you take these and implement them into your daily lives, as a leader, as in relationships, your career, whatever aspect of your life, you will see huge change. I feel privileged that you have given your time to listen to episode 8 of the JT Leadership Podcast. I hope that the tools I've shared have brought you value and make a difference in your life. And I look forward to speaking to you soon in episode 9, The Power of Experience. Thank you very much for listening. This is JT signing out.